मूर्तयः तासां ब्रह्ममहायोनिर् अहं बीजप्रदपिता तत्त्वं रजस्तम इति गुणाः प्रकृतिसम्भवाः विबध्नन्ति महाबाहो देहे देहिनमव्ययम् तत्र सत्त्वं निर्मलत्वात् प्रकाशकम् अनामयम् सुखसङ्गेन बध्नाति ज्ञानसङ्गेन चानघ रजोरागात्मकं विदधि तृष्णासङ्ग्रासमुद्भवम् तन्निबध्नाति कौन्तेय कर्मसङ्गेन देहिनम् तमस्तु ज्ञानजं विद्धि मोहनं सर्वदेहिनां प्रभावालस्य नेत्राभिस्तन्निबध्नाति भारत तत्त्वं सुखे संजयति रजः कर्मणि भारत ज्ञानवृत्तिरुत्तमः प्रमादे संजयत्युत रजस्तमश्चाभिभूय सत्त्वं भवति भारत रजः सत्त्वं तमश्चैव तमः सत्त्वं रजस्तथा सर्वद्वारेषु देहेऽस्मिन् प्रकाश उपजायते ज्ञानिनं यदा तदा विद्यात् प्रवृद्धं तत्त्वमित्युत लोभः प्रवृत्तिरारम्भः कर्मणामशमः स्पृह रजस्येतानि जायन्ते प्रवृद्धं प्रवृत्ते भरतर्षभ अप्रकाशो प्रवृत्तिश्च मोहम् एव च पाण्डव अद्वेष्टि सम्प्रवृत्तानि नानिवृत्तानि काङ्क्षति उदासीनो यो न रचयते यदा सत्त्वे प्रवृद्धे तु तदयं याति देहवित् तदोत्तमविदां लोकान् अमलं प्रतिपद्यते रजसि प्रलयं गत्वा कर्मसङ्गिषु जायते तथा प्रलीनस्तमसि मूढयोनिषु जायते कर्मणः सुकृतस्याहुः सात्विकं निर्मलं फलं रजसस्तु फलं दुःखम् अज्ञानं तमसः फलम् तद्वः सञ्जायते ज्ञानं रजसो लोभ एव च समाधिमोहो तमसो भवतो ज्ञानमेव च ऊर्ध्वं गच्छन्ति सत्त्वस्ता अग्रे तिष्ठन्ति राजसाः जगन्यमनुवृत्तिस्ता अधो गच्छन्ति तामसाः नान्यं गुणेभ्यः कर्तारं यदा दृष्टानुपश्यति गुणेभ्यश्च परं वेति मद्भावं सोऽधिगच्छति गुणानेतानिति त्यक्त्वेन देहि देहसमुद्भवान् तन्निबध्नाति जन्ममृत्युजरा दुःखे विमुक्तो मृतमश्नुते अर्जुन उवाच कैर्लिङ्गैस्त्रीन् गुणानेतान् अतीतो भवति प्रभो किम् आचारः कथं चैतांस् त्रीन् गुणान् अतिवर्तते श्रीभगवान् उवाच प्रकाशं च प्रवृत्तिं च मोहम् एव च पाण्डव द्वेष्टि सम्प्रवृत्तानि नानिवृत्तानि काङ्क्षति उदासीनो गुणयो न विचार्यते गुणा वर्तन्ते इत्येवं योऽवतिष्ठति नेङ्गते तमो दुःखः सुखः स्वस्थाः समलोष्टाश्मकाञ्चनः तुल्यप्रिया प्रियो धीरः तुल्यनिन्दात्मसंस्कृतिः मानापमानयोस्तुल्यो मित्रार्यपक्षयोः सर्वारम्भः परित्यागी गुणातीतः स उच्यते आंचयोगव्यभिचारेण भक्तियोगेन सेवते तद्गुणासमतीत्येतान् ब्रह्मभूयाय कल्पते ब्रह्मणो हि प्रतिष्ठं ते अमृतस्याविरस्य च आश्रितस्य च सर्वस्य सुखस्य कान्तिकस्य च थैंक यू
this festival possible, making this wonderful decoration for the deities and also putting up a nice feast and making all these arrangements. Thank you so much. So today we will see a little bit about the glories of Lord Narasimhadev and the importance of his incarnation. And so we've been seeing about Lord Narasimhadev, we heard about Lord Narasimhadev many times before. And even in the morning we had a discussion of Srimad Bhagavatam on Lord Narasimhadev. So I would not go into the story part of it, but talk about the context, how this whole discussion of Lord Narasimhadev came in Srimad Bhagavatam. So it all starts with Parikshit Maharaj and Shukadeva Goswami. So Parikshit Maharaj is asking Shukadeva Goswami that how do we understand the Lord's activities? The Lord is always, as he is also declaring in Bhagavad Gita also, that he comes every millennium in order to establish the principles of religion. But here Parikshit is asking, many times we see how the Lord is actually favoring the demigods. So demigods are many times the beneficiaries of Lord's actions. So there are many stories we can see. And especially when it comes to, a good example of that is how this nectar, which makes someone immortal. So when it was obtained after the churning of this milk ocean, the nectar came out from this ocean. And then the nectar was taken by the Lord in the form of Mohini, and how he or she favored the demigods. So at the cost of the demons. The demons also had equal participation in the churning of the milk ocean. But however, the demigods got the benefit of it. They had all the nectar. So obviously the question would come, is the Lord favorable to the demigods and not favorable to demons? So this question, this doubt came to the mind of Parikshit Maharaj. So he was asking this question. And so Shukadeva Goswami goes to explain that Lord is definitely not partial. He is not partial to demigods. He is equal to everyone. And in Bhagavad Gita also we see this verse from Lord Krishna himself says, Samoham sarva bhuteshu rame dvesho nasti natyah ye bhajanti tumam bhaktya mahi te teshu chapyaham. So very beautiful words where Lord says that I am equal to everyone. I don't hate anyone. Neither do I overly love anyone. So I'm equal to everybody. But when it comes to my devotees, it's very different. So he says that they live in me and I live in them. So that is a very, very profound statement he makes. That they live in me and I live in them. So meaning to say, his life, or the Lord's, all thoughts of Lord, Supreme Lord, is always thinking about his devotees' welfare and how he can help them in becoming more fixed on him and how he can alleviate them of any disturbances that can happen. So in this context, so Shukadeva Goswami goes on to explain this whole Narasimhadev. He actually brings this as a conversation between Yudhishthira Maharaj and Narada Muni. So Yudhishthira Maharaj also had the same question, just like what Parikshit had. So his question was, so he saw, so Yudhishthira Maharaj, as you might know, in the Mahabharata, he did this yajna, sacrifice, a very big sacrifice, which no one else had seen before in the past, especially in that era. Prahlad Raghav, please sit there. So Maharaj Yudhishthira, he did a wonderful Rajasuya yajna. And there, in that time when the first offering of the yajna came up, whom to be given to, the question came, then Maharaj Yudhishthira's choice was Lord Krishna. So at that time, many were in favor and many were not in favor. So there were a lot of chaos there, a lot of discussion, a lot of tumultuous sound going on. Some were saying, very good decision, very good decision. Some were saying, no, not a good decision. So amongst the those who said no, Raghav, please sit down. Please sit down, Raghav. So amongst those who said no, so was this Sishupal. So this Sishupal was so much agreed to hear that this first offering will be given to Lord Krishna. So he immediately stood up and he protested vehemently. And he said, how can you even think of giving this to Krishna? And he went on to criticize Lord Krishna. He started calling him different names and started to give him different descriptions. And not just Krishna, but he also criticized different other people who supported, like Bhishma and Yudhishthira, and everybody criticized. And then this went on. Then eventually Shishupala was killed by Lord Krishna. Because there was a promise that he made to his mother that he would tolerate 100 insults. But when it crosses 100, then he's going to kill him. Shishupala was aware of it. And so he was always playing safe with Krishna. But he had so much envy. And you can see from the history, so actually Rukmini was going to be married to Shishupala. And then, so Lord Krishna came and he took away his bride to be. So he was obviously extremely envious of Krishna. And because of that envy, so he was criticizing him, but he lost count. He knew there was 100, and he did not really remember how many he had insulted. He actually wanted to stop at 99 and get excluded from being killed. But somehow he went ahead of the boundary mark. And then he made 101 offenses. And immediately the Sudarshan Chakra flew from his Krishna's hand and went and chopped him off. But to the amazement of everyone, what happened was, so Shishupala's soul, Atma, so it went and merged into the body of Lord Krishna. So that was amazing to everybody to see. And Yudhishthira Maharaj obviously was aware of Lord Krishna's supremacy. So he definitely understood what is happening. But he still did not get a understanding why Shishupala would be granted Sayujya Mukti, or liberation by merging into the Lord's effulgence. So then he asked this question to Narada Muni. Narada Muni was also there. And he asked this question to Narada Muni after all this Yajna process. So how did this all happen? Why was Shishupala so much qualified for this? How can he be given liberation? Liberation is sought by so many people. It was not given to them. But why did Shishupala get this liberation? So then Narada Muni goes on to explain that whether it is demons or demigods, whatever Lord Krishna does, it is always good. So he does kill demons and he saves the demigods. So he said, whether it is demons or demigods, so both of them Lord Krishna does good. So whether by killing them, he gives them liberation, or by saving them, still gives them liberation. So that is the greatness of Supreme Person. So he is called Hari. The word Hari means Sarvam Kleshaha Harati iti Hari. So the one who takes everything that is unwanted is called Hari. So the word Hari is very, very special. So the Lord takes all the unwanted things. So for demons, he kills them and gives them liberation. And for the devotees, he takes away things that is unfavorable for devotion. And he helps them in advancing spiritual life. So that is speciality of Supreme Lord. And this Lord Hari is especially applicable to Lord Narasimhadev. So Lord Narasimhadev, he did come for establishing what he said in Bhagavad Gita. So he said, Paritranaya sadhuna vinasha chatuskrita. So in order to protect his devotees and in order to punish miscreants or demons. So that he established in Lord Narasimhadev's appearance. He did both in quick succession. He appeared from the pillar and then he immediately appeared and then killed Hiranyakashipu and he protected Prahlad. So this appearance of Lord Narasimhadev is very, very special for devotees. So why? So it actually explains how the Lord is very merciful to his devotees. So he actually wanted to showcase Prahlad Maharaj's great devotion. There is nobody equal to Prahlad when it comes to the devotion in the mood of passiveness. There are 5 different moods of rasas. Shanta rasa is said to be the most greatest example of Shanta rasa is Prahlad Maharaj. So he was completely remembering the Supreme Lord at all times. From the time he heard about the Supreme Lord, when he was in the womb of his mother, he was in complete rapt attention. In fact, in Bhagavatam, he says, and the children of the demons, they were asking him in the school, when Prahlad Maharaj was in the school, the demons' children were asking him, how did you learn all this? So we were also born in demoniac family and you were also born in demoniac family, but we never heard of this Narayana. We never heard of any of these things that he's speaking about. But how did you hear? Where did you hear? So then Prahlad Maharaj goes on to explain how being in the womb of his mother, he heard everything, whatever Sage Narada had explained. Although his mother was sometimes due to being tired, she fell asleep. But Sage Narada was continuing to speak. And so many times when we give class, if everybody is dozing, then you'll be very discouraged to give class. But Ardhamani was not discouraged. So he went on to speak Srimad Bhagavatam. He went on to speak about the glories of Lord Narayana to the child in the womb. So that's why Prabhupada says many times that sometimes maybe there may not be anybody to hear your lecture, but you continue to speak Krishna Katha. That's for your own purification, and also even sometimes the demigods would come and hear. Because the demigods, they don't get to hear Krishna Katha so much. So there is some professional Krishna Katha goes on, but not with so much of an experience and also realization. Because there is so much of an opulence, there is so much of an enjoyment in the heavenly planets, and they don't really get to hear pure Krishna Katha. But whereas in this earthly planet, there is always so much of an disturbance, like what Raghava is doing. So much of disturbance, Raghava and Prahlad. So that disturbance makes it so difficult to do Krishna consciousness. So, but the disturbance is also an impetus to do Krishna consciousness, because you're constantly reminded how this material world is full of problems, how this material world is full of disturbances, and you can never be peaceful, you can never be completely satisfied. So, in the material world, you get to hear some real Krishna. So, demigods also come to hear this. Prabhupada mentioned many times. Continue to do Krishna, continue to recite Bhagavatam, continue to do this. It is always auspicious. So, that way, Sage Narada continued to speak Krishna Katha, and Prahlad Maharaj was hearing with rapt attention. So, that is very important aspect of a devotee. Shravana, first hearing. Complete Shravanam should be there. So, one should render one's ear to hearing Krishna with rapt attention. Full hearing of Krishna Katha will actually bring Krishna into our heart. So through the ears, the holes of the ears, Krishna comes and he dawns in our heart. And when he dawns in our heart, what happens? Krishna says in this chapter, Tesham antagatam bhakam jananam punikaranam karmanam. And he completely eradicates the darkness in our heart, the ignorance in our heart, by lighting a lamp of knowledge. And by doing that, what happens? We become purified slowly and slowly. So hearing Krishna Katha with rapt attention, Prahlad Maharaj showed the example how we can even do even if you are in a helpless state. So nobody should never underestimate the power of hearing, Shravana. And Prahlad Maharaj, later in his life, when he came out from the womb of the mother, he started preaching. So all the hearing he put into use. And he preached Krishna Katha starting with his father. So his father, he was fully surprised how this young boy is speaking about these topics. One is, how did he hear all these things? And then how he is so much firm in his faith. And then he went on to even not just start with his father, he went on to speak to all the demoniac family, the children of the demoniac family. So they were all very innocent. They didn't have any misgivings in their heart. So they were starting with a fresh slate. So they were all ready to hear what Prahlad had to say. And they were also purified with that association of Prahlad Maharaj. So then you might hear, what is the third thing? Shravanam, Kirtanam, Smaranam. So what happens when you hear, when you speak about Krishna, then automatically there is full remembrance of Krishna. So Prahlad Maharaj was completely remembering Krishna at all times. So even when he was put into test, so many different situations he was put into, so many tribulations he was put into, which is very, very even hard to imagine. Being thrown from the top of the hill and being put under the feet of the elephants, being put with tigers and lions, with snakes, so much and so forth, so much difficulties. But because of his remembrance of Krishna at all times, complete remembrance, rapt remembrance, so he was saved from all the difficulties. The Lord was there with him at all times. But why didn't Lord come immediately and save Prahlad Maharaj? Why did he? Of course, he saved Prahlad Maharaj through all these different situations. But why didn't he come and immediately appear? Because there is a time for everything. So Krishna is a wonderful manager of time. So he let Hiranyakashipu act in certain ways. He exhausts all his punya karma. He did a lot of tapasya also. Hiranyakashipu did a lot of tapasya. Of course, he got the boons. But because of his activities which were envical to Vaishnavas, envical to Brahmanas and the cows, all his good punya that he earned, and all the benedictions that he got, so all of them became worthless. So Krishna did wait for all that time. Still Hiranyakashipu exhaust all his punya karma. And he was no more, he was ready to be killed. So then Prahlad Maharaj had to endure all that through the time. But of course he was protected. But still he was put into so much of difficulty. And eventually when Lord Narasimhadev, he came out of the pillar, he killed Hiranyakashipu. But he was feeling gratitude for Prahlad Maharaj. So he had gone through so much of difficulty. And in fact was, of course, as Lord Hari, he took away the life of Hiranyakashipu. But he also took away the difficulty of Prahlad Maharaj. But he was also angry with all the other demigods, because the demigods are also, they were responsible for the situation. And like Brahma, he gave a boon, which was very difficult, which made Hiranyakashipu so powerful. And because of which he put into difficulty everybody. All the Vaishnavas and all the cows were put into so much difficulty. So he wanted to stop everything, Krishna conscious, like Vedic learning of Vedas, the Brahmanas doing yajna, the cows being protected. So he wanted to stop all of that, good activities. So he had brought forth so much suffering. And Brahma was also partially responsible for that. So because of which he first was angry with Brahma. So nobody was wanting to come near Narasimhadev. Lord Shiva was afraid, Lord Brahma was afraid, his own wife, Mother Lakshmi, was also extremely afraid. Because they have never seen such an, they have seen of course many times before, but every time it's a new experience for them. When the husband is so angry, even the wife, she didn't want to give a try with him. So everybody pushed and nudged Prahlad Maharaj to go. As soon as Prahlad Maharaj came in front of him, his heart melted. And Lord Narasimhadev was so much pleased with Prahlad Maharaj, and he immediately gave up all his anger. he started to caress his head and started to put him on his lap. There was so much showering blood on Prahlad Maharaj. So that is the mood of Supreme Lord. Supreme Lord is always wanting to recognize his devotees, always wanting to give the best to his devotees. Even in the case of Gajendra Moksha, when Gajendra was fighting with the crocodile for a long time, for thousands of years. So then the Lord came swiftly to save Gajendra. It is said that even the speed of Garuda was not sufficient. So Garuda was thinking that he is very swift and is very fast. So he was flying, he was a little bit very proud of it. So, but the speed was not enough for Lord Vishnu. So he immediately, it is said that he took Garuda and put him on his back. And he came faster than Garuda. And then he jumped, is there in Vishnu Purana. He jumped in that bank of that lake where this tug of war was going on. And he killed the crocodile. And then only was satisfied. And actually told Gajendra, I'm sorry for delaying so much. Raghav, we're going to disturb that. Sorry, my wife is, she's addressing the deities, so boys are having free will. They're exercising their free will. Sorry for the disturbance. So the Lord, although sometimes he waits, he makes the devotees wait, but he's very thankful that the devotees did exhibit their trust in him. And when he comes in front of them, and he's so happy, and he's so thankful to them. It is said that even when the devotees, they go back to the Goloka Vrindavan, so Krishna is waiting in open arms to come and receive them. Prabhupada said, Krishna will come and receive you and he will hug you. So because he is so thankful that we made back home to God. So we had to endure so many lifetimes and finally we made back to God. And so Krishna is very pleased with our sincerity, with how much we endured. So he is always thankful to his devotees. But we should also earn his appreciation. So Krishna is definitely wanting to help us. He is wanting to give us the best that he can. In fact, he is protecting us all the time. His invisible arms is always there protecting us. But we are not able to see it. We are not able to realize it. But he says that in Bhagavad Gita also. Oh Arjuna, declare to the whole world, my bhakta pranashati, my devotee never perishes. Even if he falls down, Shipram bhavati dharmatma, shashvat shantim higachati, monteye pratijanihi, me bhakta pranashati. Says that, oh Arjuna, even if he falls down, he is going to soon rise up and he is going to be established back in his position and he is going to be, so declare to the entire world, my devotee never perishes because he always protects them. So his protection might be sometimes not so favorable materially for us, but he indeed protects us and he assures that to us. And we always have support from devotees, the spiritual master, so that we can make progress in spiritual life. And all we need to do is put our trust in the hands of the spiritual master, in the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord, and we will definitely reach our shores, crossing this ocean of materialism. So all we need to do is to follow the instructions of the pure devotee, follow the instructions of the spiritual master, and we will safely be in the right place. And Lord Narasimhadev is always there to protect us from all disturbances, all the misgivings in our heart, all the anarthas in our heart will slowly take away as long as we pursue this path of perfection. And that is a promise by the Supreme Lord. So in fact, very interestingly, Prahlad Maharaj, when he comes in this pastime of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, so he incarnates as Vasudeva Dutt. So Vasudeva Dutt is very famous for his question to Lord Chaitanya. So he asked Lord Chaitanya, petitions to Lord Chaitanya, my dear Lord, please kindly put all the sins that is done by all these people in this world, and please kindly put the sins on me. Let me suffer for many, many lifetimes, innumerable lifetimes, and let them all go back home, back to God. So that was his petition. The same word of Prahlad Maharaj. Prahlad Maharaj also, when he was asked for a benediction, or when they offered him a benediction, he said, I do not want any benediction. So I'm only thinking about these people who are not thinking about you. So that is why his whole message, if you see, it is so much pleading with people. So please don't think about your material body. Invest your time in Krishna. And that is to your best benefit. Ate vidusham swartha gatim cha Vishnu. Ate vidusham swartha gatim cha Vishnu. People do not know what is the best interest, best self-interest. He says that the best self-interest for anybody is to understand that Supreme Lord Krishna, Vishnu, is the highest self-interest. So people do not know that. So he pleads with everybody. He pleads with the demons' children. So please kindly become devotees. So same Vasudev does also the same thing. He says, please give me, let me take all the sins of all the people. And let all these people go back to God. So, Raghav, please. So then for that, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is saying that do not worry. So as soon as anybody takes up to this process of Vaishnavism, Krishna consciousness, I will take away all their sins. This is my promise to you. So it says that. So today is a very special day. Lord Narasimhadev had come, and also he has shown us how he cares for his devotees. Let us all remember this wonderful pastime today, and let us continue to do devotional service as instructed by Srila Prabhupada and his pure devotees, and we will all be perfect. So we'll say Hare Krishna one time. All please join me. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,